Help me hit 4,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never imagined a simple neighborhood barbecue would become the turning point of my marriage. The day had started normally enough. Sunlight over the yard, the smell of grilled chicken, casual laughter drifting through the air. But beneath all that warmth, I sensed something was off with my wife, Claire. She'd been distant all week, brushing off conversations, avoiding eye contact, and retreating to her phone whenever I tried to talk. I thought maybe she was stressed about our upcoming honeymoon, but even that felt like an excuse I was making for her. When we finally arrived at the barbecue hosted by our neighbors, the Carsons, I hoped the social atmosphere might lighten her mood. Instead, things worsened. Claire stayed glued to her seat, scrolling, barely acknowledging anyone. When people asked about our honeymoon next week, she gave short, irritated answers. I tried to laugh it off, but a knot tightened in my stomach. I kept telling myself it was just a phase, just stress, just a bad day. But deep down, I knew something was brewing, something she wasn't saying out loud. An hour into the gathering, my single neighbor Daniel walked over to greet us. He was friendly, confident, and one of those guys everyone naturally liked. I'd never had an issue with him. He chatted a bit, cracked a joke, then asked Claire if she was excited for our honeymoon. She didn't even smile. Instead, she stood up, placed her cup down, and said loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "Honestly, he can go on the honeymoon by himself." The backyard went silent. I felt heat rush up my neck. My hands clenched automatically. Claire didn't look at me. She didn't even look embarrassed. She just shrugged, as if her words meant nothing, as if the bond we shared meant nothing anymore. I could feel everyone watching, waiting for my reaction. I managed to hold myself together, even though my chest felt like it was caving in. "Can we talk about this?" I whispered, trying not to create a bigger scene. But Claire waved me off like I was some annoying salesman. "There's nothing to talk about. Go alone. I don't care." Then she walked away toward the food table, leaving me standing next to Daniel, who looked just as stunned as I felt. He put a hand on my shoulder, the sympathy written on his face almost unbearable at that moment. I excused myself and stepped around the corner of the house just to breathe. When the event ended, I expected Claire to apologize, or at least offer some explanation, but she didn't. On the drive home, she stared out the window like I wasn't there. Finally, I asked, "Do you still want to be married?" She shrugged, like the question was insignificant. "I don't know," she said. "Maybe I just need space." I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I kept turning over her words, trying to understand what I'd done wrong, what had changed, why the woman who once cried tears of joy during our wedding vows now couldn't even look at me. 2 days later, I got my answer from a place I didn't expect. I was in the driveway grabbing a package when Daniel walked over, hands in his pockets, expression serious. "Ethan, I'm sorry to bring this up," he said, "but you deserve to know." My stomach tightened. He told me he had seen Claire several times over the past month, meeting a man behind the cafe near the community park. At first, he thought it was harmless, maybe a coworker. But the last time he saw them, they weren't acting like friends. They were holding hands, leaning close, whispering intimately. Daniel said he'd confronted her quietly at the barbecue after she made that humiliating comment. And that's when she'd snapped at him, told him to stay out of her personal business, making it clear she didn't care how it looked. I felt the world tilt. Suddenly everything made sense. Her coldness, her distance, her irritation whenever I mentioned the honeymoon. I thanked Daniel, though I could barely speak. Inside the house, I confronted Claire. At first, she denied everything. Then she admitted the truth with startling calmness. She'd met someone from her gym, a man named Ryan. She said she wasn't sure how she felt yet, and didn't want to make any decisions until after thinking things through. I asked if she was ending the marriage, and she said she didn't know. That uncertainty was somehow worse than a direct answer. That night, Daniel texted me, "If you need an ear or a place to escape for a bit, my porch light's on." I didn't want pity. But I couldn't stay in that house with Claire's ambivalence crushing me. I walked over to Daniel's place. We sat outside, talking for hours. He listened without judgment, offering perspective I desperately needed. He told me something that stuck with me. Someone who truly loves you doesn't treat you like an option. The next morning, I made my decision. I canceled one part of the honeymoon, Claire's ticket. But I kept mine. I refused to hide in heartbreak while she figured out whether I was worth staying with. When Claire saw the cancellation email, she panicked. She accused me of abandoning her, of acting impulsively, of not giving the marriage a chance. But a chance goes both ways. I told her I wanted space too, real space, not the emotional limbo she kept me in. I'm going alone, I said. Just like you suggested. She froze, realizing the weight of her own words. The morning I left, Daniel was outside watering his plants. He gave me a nod, a look of genuine support. Take the time you need, he said. You deserve clarity. I thanked him, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. On the plane, I stared at the window as the ground shrank away, and for the first time since the barbecue, I felt in control of my life again. And Claire? She didn't expect that the moment she pushed me away, someone else, someone honest, would push me toward the truth.